love of cars can manifest itself in lots of different ways, from the supercar we had on our bedroom wall posters to the amount of money we scraped together to one day own that classic car we've always treasured. For me though, cars facilitate some of the most exciting adventures we can still have in 2016, and today is just such a day. We're out here with a BMW driving experience where this X5 is going to take us on the adventure of a lifetime. The car will push us, itself and its body to the limits of what we can possibly handle, and together we're going to have one hell of an adventure. Welcome to Namibia. This amazing country is located on the west coast of southern Africa, and we will be starting our journey in the capital Windhoek. From there we'll be heading to Irindi, the second largest game reserve in Namibia, before cutting across the breadth of the country to the Atlantic coast, taking in a large variety of driving conditions along the way. Finally, before driving home again, we will take on the might of the Namib Desert and the epic dunes it has waiting for us. The BMW X5 belongs to that category of car that is very, very capable, yet sold to people who will rarely take it out in anything more severe than a slight rainstorm. That said though, these cars can do what they say they can, and we're putting that to the test this week. We have some things in store for it. These are some dusty roads which aren't that challenging, but we're going to be going up and down some mountains, through some dry riverbeds, and generally just seeing how much this city slicker can really handle itself in some challenging off-road environments. Our first challenge for the X5 was the small matter of negotiating a mountainous hill climb on unpaved passes near treacherous looking drops. Having only very recently got off an intercontinental flight on minimal sleep, it wasn't the best state of mind to be in for this, but we soldiered on. Our 3-litre diesel X5 came with all the mod cons you associate with modern SUVs, including, crucially in this case, hill descent control. As much as it can be satisfying to control a vehicle entirely yourself, you learn in these sleep-deprived moments that having a well-oiled machine do the hard work for you can be very welcome indeed. With these mountainous passes traversed, we reached our beds for the night and we caught up on our sleep in anticipation of what Namibia would throw at us next. So you know how it is, you wake up on a Monday morning and you check your to-do list down the office, maybe email your boss back, finish that spreadsheet. Well, today's not one of those days. Today's to-do list included drive to work in a dried up riverbed. Now, because this is a riverbed, it's sand, a mixture of extremely fine sand at the top and mushy gravelly stuff underneath, which means that traction is next to none. In order for us to retain some of that traction, we've dropped the pressure in our tires down from just over 2 bar to just 1 bar. They're riding pretty damn flat to give us the extra traction. But even then, there isn't much to be working with. Preserving momentum is important, and avoiding those is probably important as well. Now, the BMW experience, like other such experiences in the world, is one where you can buy a ticket, fly out and have your adventure. And we're very fortunate to be out here right now with some like-minded people having fun in like-minded cars. And more than anything else, it's kind of useful to have an extra set of hands around in case something goes wrong. Well, as can happen inevitably when you're having a lot of fun, is that sometimes things can go wrong, and my slightly deflated tyre became an incredibly deflated tyre and ripped to shreds as I was sliding around on this riverbed in Namibia. We're fixing the tyre very quickly with some help from the other people on this tour. I should probably get involved myself, but yes, having fun. Okay, so the cars aren't indestructible, and pushing a car a little bit too hard in even the best of circumstances can result in a popped and entirely shredded tyre. We are back on this dusty trail though, and back on track. Our next waypoint was Ayaiba, an area of astonishing natural beauty where the terrain changed from savanna plains to what felt like a set straight out of the Flintstones. We were promised a mind-blowing view if we could get our cars to the top of a particularly steep incline. Never one to flinch from a challenge, I pointed the X5 in the right direction and hit the go pedal. Ascent can be a lot trickier than descent in modern cars. Knowing how much momentum to carry and how much power to apply can be tricky, but the X5 and our guide got me to the top in one piece. The
the view at the top was worth it. The heart-stopping beauty of this country hit me at every turn, but seeing so much of it from one vantage point was particularly overwhelming.
Oh, but it was worth it. That descent just brought us down from what must be one of the most spectacular views I have ever seen in my entire life. It was absolutely breathtaking. I just cannot believe the majesty of this place. That is not a healthy sound. There are some bushes here in Namibia with barbs like Stanley knives, and when you get a little bit close, your paintwork does suffer a little bit. This specific area here, in the valley between these ancient mountains, is very dry and dusty. Undoubtedly during the rainy season this comes to life, but right now it's dusty and barren, and the trail we're driving is covered in a thick layer of extremely fine sand that makes visibility, if there's anything in front of you, quite poor, and traction, well, an interesting prospect. It requires a little bit more attention than your average Sunday drive, but that's what makes it a lot more fun. Even with driver aids turned on, there's only so much that can be done when a 2-ton plus car gets thrown around with gay abandon. And a bit of opposite lock still has to be kicked in to save you. So the terrain dictates that I take a little bit more control than the car would necessarily like to give over to me. So I've turned off DFC, so there are fewer driver aids holding me back or protecting me, depending on your point of view. And the difficulty is that this terrain is incredibly slippy, and this car is not the lightest. And we're trying to cram in so much that where possible, we're putting our foot down. So sometimes you have to react quickly to changing circumstances. And the dust is forming thick clouds that we're having to drive through. So often obstacles are coming up at very short notice. Add to that the possibility that around any given corner there could be a wild animal right there in the road, as we've already seen multiple times on this trip. Apparently that's one of the easiest ways to die in Africa, is to hit an animal that's bigger than you. Unfortunately in Africa there are many of those, and a lot of them play around on the roads.
Our route took us to a copper mine with a windy road that felt like it had been hewn out of the rocks themselves. And after blasting through these fantastically fun tracks, we found ourselves at another riverbed, this one belonging to the Swakop River. Following this would take us all the way to the ocean, so we ploughed on through this canyon with the promise of one last adventure tomorrow, the dunes of the Namib Desert.
Absolutely amazing experiences, and it's coming to an end. But just to top it all off, just before we head back home, we've come to the coast of Namibia, near the town of Swakopmund in Walvis Bay, where the dunes meet the ocean, to do some dune driving. We've been given specific briefings and we have a guide up ahead, because apparently the difference between an area that's perfectly safe to drive in and an area that is incredibly dangerous to drive in can be as little as a few meters. So for those purposes, I'm exceptionally glad that we have a very knowledgeable guide with us. But that aside, it's going to be me in the car trying to overcome what have been described to me as some pretty epic dunes. So let's see what it can do. Major dangers are getting beached and rolling, neither of which sound particularly pleasant, neither of which I intend to do. But Gareth, our cameraman, is under strict instructions. If I roll, film first, help later. Wouldn't want you to miss it. Please excuse the radio, I cannot turn it off because without these guys' instructions I am kind of screwed. Approach the top of the dune diagonally.
Slow down.
Holy shit.
Straight down here. Straight.
Oh my god.
And remember to smile. Keep the wheel straight. Like that. Perfect.
Oh my word. I'm just sliding down the hill.
Well done. Good job.
Woohoo indeed. Oh,
And stop and wait there.
that was roller coaster steep. Okay, that is just a solid mountain of sand I just drove down. It felt like it was almost vertical. It couldn't have been that many degrees up. Everything's in one piece. Let's do another.
This adventure took me places I never thought I'd visit and gave me experiences I'll carry with me forever. The mountainous terrains and their amazing views, the savannah and the wildlife that took my breath away, sights so vast they were hard to take in fully, and an experience I will never forget.
The driving experiences I've had this week have been unbelievable. The sights, the sensations have been something I never thought I'd ever have. But for me, the real surprise this week has been how well the X5 has behaved in these incredibly challenging circumstances. Nothing we've thrown at it has bogged it down in any shape or form. And whilst we've been hooning through the dunes, tearing through safari territory and driving down dried up riverbeds, this has kept us going in comfort the entire way. A car that was designed to be used on the school run can be just as home out here in Namibia. It's nothing short of incredible, and this week has been amazing.